everyone, welcome. I'm Robert, and this is the buyer's guide for Star Wars Destiny for Solo. Before I get into the actual products, I want to mention that one big aspect of why you would want to expand on Star Wars Destiny might be because of the deck construction. Maybe you just want to buy the occasional character card and their dice so that you can play as your favorite characters, and that's okay. I'm gonna discuss some options that will be able to cater to that, but the big reason why you might want to expand beyond just a few starter decks is for the deck construction. Star Wars Destiny provides me the most satisfying deck construction experience that no other board game offers me for solo play. I'm a 99.9% solo player. There's no other game, not Marvel Champions, not Arkham Horror, not Lord of the Rings. No other game offers the deck construction that this offers, and that's why I put so much work into encounters. It allows me to have this almost like sandbox where I can create character pairings like in the movies, like thematic, or maybe I see a character that has a really cool mechanic and I can build a deck around it and I can just play it solo. And it just really, it scratches, it's the closest thing that has allowed me to scratch that Magic the Gathering itch back when I used to play Commander. I would see a Commander that looked really cool. I like the mechanics, so then I would go through my collection and I would buy cards that are synergistic with it. So this allows me to do that, but solo. So that's why I love this so much, and that's why I have such a, I have amassed a big collection over the couple of years that have been working on this variant. All right, so let's pick up where we left off when I last talked about products in the Encounters tutorial. So at the beginning of the tutorial, I mentioned that for dipping your toes in Encounters, you should just get the 2-player starter set or the Luke or the Boba Fett deck, okay? Now, what you should do after, especially if you're interested in deck construction and you want to build stronger decks, maybe you want to buy a couple character cards that you really like and their dice online, and then you just want to build a simple basic deck around them. You should go ahead and get a second copy of each of these, all right, if you haven't bought all 3 already, okay? What that'll allow you to do is it'll give you a pretty decent base of basic cards of all colors, so that you're able to build very rudimentary decks, so that you can just basically throw almost any character in there and at least be able to play just a deck with whatever character you buy online individually, if you want to go that route, okay? Or maybe you just want to play like enhanced versions of those decks. Do remember that these starter decks are only 20 cards each, and official tournament rules for Star Wars Destiny is supposed to be 30 card decks, okay? And you're not really going to be able to hold up against the enemy at easy and normal and hard difficulties with just the decks out of the box, okay? All right, so beyond that, I also want to mention the original Star Wars Destiny decks that came out with the Awakening set, the very first starter decks that came out. When I first created Encounters, those decks were factored in so that you're able to play those against the enemy. I didn't mention those during the tutorial because they're not very readily available from retailers. You have to dig a bit deeper if you want to find those, and you should still be able to find them pretty cheap. But the other reason I didn't mention them is because they're very weak. If you play them out of the box against Luke and Vader, you'll be fine. It'll be like a 50-50 win ratio. They're balanced against each other pretty well, but they're much weaker than these decks, okay? But you can buy them still if you plan to do deck construction. They have very cool staple cards, so that they do definitely come with nice deck builders. They're like nice deck builders toolkits, basically. They come with nice cards for your decks. Characters are kind of mediocre, other than maybe the The First Order Stormtrooper, that character there's many decks that you can build around Trooper archetype, so that's a pretty useful character. But yeah, the other characters are pretty mediocre. You're gonna be buying them mostly for the cards that come in the deck, okay? So I do recommend that for deck construction. Out of the box, only if you plan to play against Vader and Luke. Now, so yeah, and if you do buy those, try to get 2 of each again, so that you can buy have full sets of each of the cards. All right. Now, next, I also want to mention the Obi-Wan and Grievous starter decks. The reason why I don't bring this up in the tutorial is because they're extremely rare, at least in the US. I know that the folks in Spain, shout out to the folks in Spain, there's a pretty awesome community that likes encounters over there. They do have this pretty available over there, and typically at great prices, just €5 each in Spanish, right? So I'm happy that they're able to find these. Here, it's pretty tough. They command ridiculous prices stateside, all right? But wherever you are in the world, if you see this, snag them up, okay? I got extremely lucky when I was first working on the variant and I found out about these decks. I found out an obscure online board game retailer, and I bought 2 copies at retail price. So I got really lucky. I don't know, I haven't, like a couple of years later, I don't know how difficult these are to find, but I know that, they have not been reprinted. So it's even more scarce by now. But if you can find these, please do. These decks are awesome, and and if you can buy 2 of each, even better, because you can combine them, and I would say they're the most powerful decks you can build out of all the starter decks. If you combine 2 of each, you get pretty dang strong decks, right? So that's all the starter decks. So that's all the official starter deck material, all right? Other products that you can buy before we get to the booster packs, I also want to mention the draft sets. So the draft sets include, they're fixed products, no randomization, and they include some, they're not the most powerful, but they do include some nice utility cards and nice, average characters in general. They tend to go pretty cheap, all right? If you look online, typically you can find them for like less than $10 or like around $10 each. So if you can buy 2 of each of those, you can add even more to that basic pool of cards for you to play with. So to summarize with sealed products, the 2-player starter deck, the 2-player starter set, the Luke and Boba sets, the draft sets, if you can buy 2 of each of those, and then the original Awakening sets. If depending on where you are and what time you decide to buy 2 of each of those, all of that should set you back like around $100, probably less if you wait for a sale or a coupon. You can get a very strong pool of cards and dice and different characters for you to build decent decks. Okay, just between getting 2 copies of each of the things I listed there. All right, and even better if you can add the Obi-Wan and Grievous decks, but that's a big ask depending on where you live. All right. Yeah, it can be tough finding those at a decent price, unfortunately. All right, so that's the sealed product that it has fixed products in it. Now, booster packs. Depending on how much you like the random aspect of trading card games, I know that people love the dopamine hit from it. Believe it or not, I have not opened a single booster pack since I started playing this. I know that might sound insane, but I have not opened a single booster pack because I just don't like buying booster packs. I'm sorry, like Magic kind of killed that for me. Ever since the singles market became a thing, I just always buy my singles. I just spend the money on what I want, and I don't need to try to chase cards from booster packs. So there's a pretty strong singles market for Star Wars Destiny. There's a couple of online stores that I frequent. I haven't bought a whole lot of cards this year, to be honest with you, just because I have a pretty decent collection already. I have what I want, at least from Fantasy Flight. I have pretty much what I want by now. It's mostly thematic stuff that I tend to buy. But I'm going to leave in the description, and I'm going to pin a comment with some resources. I'm going to pin and leave in the comment section a couple links to stores that I've had great experiences with. And there's also, there's, and I mean like dedicated Destiny stores, right? I'm gonna put those in the description and pinned comment. But I also want to mention that there's tcgplayer.com, all right, and they have all sorts of trading card games there. But I've had success. When I'm checking for prices between different stores, they tend to have pretty low prices there. Always make sure if you're looking for a particular Destiny card, make sure to go to TCG Player. They might have the card that you need. Believe it or not, they do have people that sell Destiny there. All right, so that's buying singles, and that's how between sealed product and acquire my singles, that's how I have amassed the collection, just buying singles. And if you want to go the booster pack route, depending on what time of the year you buy them, I know that some retailers tend to liquidate them, and it'll just depend on where you live, but what kind of board game stores you have in your area. But maybe you can snag a box for like $30 to $35, and that's a great way to acquire accrue cards. All right, but some people enjoy it. I don't enjoy the random aspect of it. Mostly if you want the dopamine hit, like I said. Moving on, we have collections, right? So you can buy collections off eBay or on Board Game Geek. Very early on, I bought a couple of collections for like $30 each off eBay, and they had very nice cards. So it'll just, your mileage will vary with that. But maybe if you go to like Goodwill or something, you're gonna find somebody's collection. It's one way of doing it, definitely. Check on BGG. Sometimes there's people selling their collections. Maybe create a thread on BGG and ask if somebody wants to sell their collection. You might have some luck, especially if you're in another part, depending on where you are in the world, there might be someone locally who might want to sell you their collection, okay? All right, now let's get to one of my favorite things that I wanted to talk about, a Renewed Hope expansion sets, okay? A Renewed Hope, they're the continuing committee, and they've been making sets for years. And back in the day, I found a retailer that they were about to go out of business, and they were selling their Renewed Hope sets, the first few, really cheap. I originally wasn't going to touch them, but I decided, what the heck. I mean, they were putting them on clearance, so I bought them. And I was amazed at the fun mechanics that those sets had. And I love that they had original stills from the movies. So I was instantaneously hooked. So let me show you here what I have in this box. Actually, finally, I can start showing some of the content, okay? So I'll discuss more storage later. But what I have in this box is my Renewed Hope sets, okay? So I just want to show you, and there's more. There's about a stack about this big of cards that is not here because it's cards that didn't used to work very well solo, but I have to reassess that because of the recent update. But these are all the cards from I think 5 different sets that I have amassed. So yeah, just the quality of this is just spectacular. From the mechanical aspect to also the the thematics stuff, and the fact that they have cards from the recent material. So they really just do such a great job of creating this Destiny content, and just content that didn't originally exist in the Fantasy Flight Games era. So I want to show you an example here of that, the AT-T card. Where is it? There we go. See, so there wasn't a card like that in Fantasy Flight Games era, and I love that I'm able to play a card like that. I built a deck around it and everything. So this is just, I just love that they, by getting their sets, I'm able to exponentially increase the decks that I'm able to build. Okay. So that's a Renewed Hope set. Now, they offer the print and play files. There's some online retailers that will sell you the sets, and I'm in fact gonna do a little bit of an unboxing later of a couple sets that arrived recently. Yeah, so you can buy them already made, and they already make the die stickers. I'm gonna talk about that in a second, but they'll offer you the die stickers and the cards and even the dice. Okay, now speaking of dice, right? Because with Destiny it's not just the cards. So what do you do with the dice? All right, let's talk about how I make custom dice. All right, because because obviously when you buy these fan-made sets, depending on where you buy them, they might not have the dice aspect to it. You know, you might have to put the dice together yourself, or you just use generic dice. But I do one big thing with Destiny for me is the big chunky dice aspect. I don't typically like using generic dice for my cards. Okay, for the enemy in encounters, that's fine, but I typically like having my proxy dice. So what I do is my proxies for creating dice is the following. All right, so what I do is I print the dice sheets, which A Renewed Hope offers these files on their website for each set. All right, and I print the dice in vinyl sticker paper. Right, this is non-glossy. This is matte. All right. Now the issue I have with glossy is that I've received glossy stickers from retailers before, and they tend to have this tacky finish that I just hate. All right. So I don't like printing on glossy vinyl because it tends to have that tacky feel to it. Now, if you take Star Wars Destiny dice, they're not tacky, right? They're smooth, and you can rub them like this, and they don't have that tacky rubbery feeling, right? So what I do to get around that is before I cut the dice, right? So you print the dice on the vinyl sheet at 100% size, right? And my trick is that I just take a little bit of tape and I put it over the card, all right? So let me just show you here, all right? So I'm gonna make it about that big, okay? And then I just come in here and apply a layer of tape, all right? There you go. Okay. Okay, so when you apply that, you then go to cut it with a scissor, and I use one of these tweezers to remove the sticker after cutting it in a circle. And when you apply it to a blank dice, it turns out it's almost seamless. See that finish? All right, so the one on the left is a proxy die, and then the one on the right is an official die. I'll talk about proxy dies in a second, where you can get them, but there. So that's the sticker right there applied to the proxy die, okay? And then the one on the right is the official. So it gives it that glossy finish, and then they rub against each other, all right? Like they, like when you rub Destiny dice together, they should do that instead of having this like rubbery tacky finish. I hate that. So that's a little trick I do. I just apply a little bit of tape and cut them. Now, if you happen to have a Silhouette Cameo cutting machine, you can also a Silhouette cutting machine. You can also use that, and it mileage will vary. I've had some success with it. I've borrowed it before, and it has worked sometimes. Sometimes it's off by like a millimeter, and it ruins the cut. It ruins the sheet, and I waste the ink and the sticker paper and all the work of stickering, applying that layer of tape, right? So I've had mixed success with that. So cutting it by hand has been the most reliable method so far. I know that there's circle stickers, but I have not been able to find one that is the exact, like the perfect radius or diameter of the dice, okay? But you can just cut them by hand, and that's worked out fine. Make sure you use a very sharp scissor, okay? Now, where do you actually get the sticker, where do you actually get the blank dice to use? So these you can buy from AliExpress, all right? And you can buy them in bulk, and they'll, depending on the amount you buy, it'll set you back like, between 20 and 30 something, just to buy a mixed set of colors, right? But they're very, very close in proximity to Destiny dice. The biggest color difference, honestly, and I think the camera won't really be able to capture it properly, but the biggest difference in color is with blue. But the other colors, honestly, gray, yellow, the original Destiny color is a bit paler, all right? But they're pretty close, and it's not bad enough that it stands out that much, to be honest with you folks. So these are very, very damn close. They're like ever so slightly bigger as well. But yeah, so you can buy these, and they just work beautifully when you apply the stickers to them, as I showed you with the Palpatine dice. Okay, So yeah, you can buy this from AliExpress. I'll leave a link, all right, in the description and in the pinned comment if you want to start doing this yourself. It's a bit of a repetitive activity that takes a bit, but you know, if you like that type of activity, like if you do miniature painting or something, or sleeving games, it has that therapeutic almost quality to it. All right, just, you know, you're creating this, printing the stickers, cutting them out, applying them. I'll leave a link to the dice, and there's an activity. It's like another meta aspect of this that you might enjoy, the crafting aspect, okay, of the dice. You know, the techniques and the methods that I've come up with to make it faster and whatnot, to make the dice more authentic. That's just something that evolved from me doing it more. You know, the first few proxy dice that I made didn't look that great, okay? Alright, and now I want to discuss another very special way to enjoy not just encounters, but also Star Wars Destiny in general, and that's with Star Wars Destiny Smash by Dice Commando. Now, this is just a plain shoebox card holder, alright, but what's inside, it's the entirety of Destiny Smash Phases 1, 2, and 3. And what is Destiny Smash? Basically, it's a board gamification of Star Wars Destiny, where you're given some card lists that are created around a specific character. Each card list is half of a deck, 15 cards each, and one character that is 15 or less points. And what you do is you take two characters and the 15 decks that come with each, and you combine them, or you smash them into a deck, and that's how you play. You just combine two characters that are drawn from a deck at random, right? And I have all three phases here, and let me show you here. So this is the setup instructions for Smash, and I have all three phases combined here, and it's just such a fun way to enjoy. So you basically just shuffle, and in this format you can combine heroes and villains. So in this case I would bring out these two decks and combine them. Alright, so I've pulled them out, and here's a character card, the battlefield it comes with, and then the 15 cards. And then here's the other one, and then you just combine the decks, you pick a battlefield, and you have a team right there with the two characters. Now, this entire set is proxied, and that's because first, I pretty much own all of these cards already, and second, I didn't want to complicate the storage aspect with the dice aspect, okay? Like, dice is already a bit of a nightmare to store, and I just wanted to be able to play Smash much quicker. So it was just much easier to just proxy all of this, all right? And yeah, it was a bit of an undertaking, but this is just such a fun way to experience Destiny, okay? You just combine decks, draw a couple of cards, and it's just oh so wonderful. Now, the way that I solved dice for this, I wanted to find a bit of a compromise because I do like the big chunky Star Wars Destiny dice. So what I did here was I created this file. I'm gonna put it in the description and pinned comment. So I created this generic dice file that allows me to play. If I have a elite blue character, I have these. And keep in mind that when stickering dice, you're supposed to sticker them like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I created these. The black ones are for characters, and the white ones are for upgrades. All right, and this has worked out great. And I tend to use the black ones for you know, supports and things like that too. And I do need to make a couple more of the white ones for if a character has 3 blue upgrades, for example. But with this generic, this set of generic dice here, and this is just one of the most amazing ways to experience not just encounters, just Destiny in general. It's just such a nice format. And one thing I'll mention, you know, from playing this format, it feels like the power level is almost like that of a starter deck. And again, I do allow Star Wars Destiny to, you know, encounters. I created it so that you're able to enjoy it with just a starter deck. That was very much on purpose, and that's because as much as I enjoy deck construction, I do like starter decks a lot. I just love the experience of just, having a pre-constructed starter deck and just playing with that and not having to worry about deck construction. So I wanted to make sure I offered that. And these decks, I've tried many combinations and they feel on par with that starter, that starter deck power level, maybe a bit better, like a notch above that. This has worked out beautifully, this format. If you want to try Destiny Smash, this has worked out great at easy difficulty. Right? I think normal difficulty with encounters would be a bit too much for most combinations. There's a couple of really powerful combinations that you might be able to pull, but yeah, I suggest that if you have Destiny Smash, that you try the easy difficulty with encounters. Okay. All right, and to wrap up, let's talk about one of my favorite topics: storage. And Destiny definitely is a bit of a challenge to store because of all of those dice. All right, let's first talk about this box that I have here. It's basically a big box that you can buy at craft stores. You can also find this on Amazon, pretty much all over the world. What it is these boxes are 4x6 inch photo storage boxes. All right, so you can buy these big boxes that come with 16 of these. All right, and each of these boxes can contain 33 dice. Now normally it contains 30. It can fit up to 32, but there's a little trick here. All right, so let me show you. So normally you think that this is at capacity right here, right? But there is a bit of wiggle room in there. So what you do is you just have to move these and put it like that, and there we go. You can fit 33 in there, right? So 33 each, and I more or less have this organized by color and then by alignment, but it's a bit tough to precisely fit them like that. So they don't all fit there precisely, but more or less by color and alignment. Okay, so this, if you go to a craft store, you can buy this for like $15, and it's an amazing way of storing your collection. Okay, now great thing about these too is that you can also store your decks here. So here you can fit, let's see, about 16 dice, right? If you have a deck that comes with 16 dice, you should be able to fit that there, 16 or less dice. And what I do here, this is a one of those Ultra Pro 40. I think this is a 40, 50 or to 50 card storage box, but only the lid. So I put the lid there, and it contains the deck, as you can see, and it closes. All right, and there we go. Now you can then store. I've never had an issue storing a deck, even if it has a plot card. Okay, so 30 cards plus the characters and a plot card, you should be good to go. Okay, so you can store your decks right there. So I typically have a few constructed decks in rotation. Okay, I play them until I get bored of them, and then I take them apart. All right, so I currently have 4. So now you can buy this individually at certain hobby stores for 99 cents each, typically, or under $1 or under $1. But the better value is this, and there's also a box of like this, but it's half, right? So if you don't have that many dice, you can also just buy the half size box that'll give you 8 of these little boxes inside. Okay, and I just use generic the cardboard boxes for storing cards. Now another route that you can go, there's these dice binders, and you can tend to find them on clearance, like you can for for other Destiny products at online stores. Let's also discuss these deck boxes. Okay, so I bought a couple of these Keyforge, I think they're called Ares or Gemini boxes, and what they allow you to do is they have a little compartment here where you can store 12 dice, and then you have your characters there, and you have your compartment there for 30 cards. So it's just absolutely perfect for that. Okay, so if you can find these boxes, which I found them on clearance for a couple bucks each. Now, not every deck, not every deck has 12 or less dice. Some decks require more. I think on average it's like 16. Some of my decks, or more. Some of my decks. But if you have a deck that only uses 12 or less dice, this is a perfect solution. Okay. And finally, the way that I store my characters, so I have all non-character dice of each color. I have boxes. I have these 400 count box, that is the 3 colors. Gray cards are stuck with the box that has the yellow cards. Let me show you one of these here. So I just have them organized by alignment. So there's neutral in the middle, there's heroes, and then there's villains. Okay, so I store them by color like that. Everything except characters. Characters, just because I like browsing characters. So when I'm concocting decks and I just feel, I'm feeling that itch to create a deck, I just like browsing the character cards by themselves. So I just grabbed this Ultra Pro binder that was just gathering dust, and I went ahead and put all of my characters in here. Okay. So yeah, when I want to build a deck, I just browse this, and I can find a thematic character that I want to build a deck around, or I see a character that has an interesting mechanic and I want to then build a deck around it. Okay, and yeah, so that's red, yellow, and I do have some proxies that I have made, and there's tons of tutorials online for making proxy cards, so I'm not going to bore you with that. I think the only thing I can contribute with that is in regards to proxying is the dice. So hopefully what I talked about with the dice earlier gave you some tips if you want to create your own custom dice. Okay, but yeah, so I keep my characters here, and yeah, so there you go. That is the character binder, and that's how I store my collection here, and the dice and character binders and the boxes I showed you earlier. And I have loved every second of creating a deck in Destiny for encounters. It's just so much fun. So if you enjoy that construction aspect, you're a former Magic player, you're gonna have a blast creating decks in this environment. So that pretty much is it, folks. I know that it was a lot to discuss, but there's many ways for you to expand your collection in Destiny, and I love the A Renewed Hope sets. And it feels, by the way, when I buy a Renewed Hope set, it feels like it's like buying a cycle in Marvel Champions or Arkham Horror. All right, it feels like buying the how in Arkham Horror you have the campaign expansion, and then you have the player card, the investigator expansion. It's like buying the investigator box, all right, with a Renewed Hope set. All right, and I just buy all of those cards, and then I start thinking of deck ideas to concoct, and it's just the best deck construction environment for solo that I have experienced. But what this game provides for me, I know that it's not as accessible as just buying a box of Marvel Champions. It's unfortunate, but the experience that this offers to me, I just want more people to experience it. It's just so amazing. I just love the deck construction that this offers me for solo, unparalleled. So I hope that you found the buyer's guide useful. If you folks have any comments, questions, feedback, make sure to put them in the comment section. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to like and subscribe, and also make sure to check the description and the pinned comment that I left with all the relevant links and information, and I'll see you in the next one.